Ultimate Fighting Championship UFC returns to the Hurt Business today, Saturday, October 28, 2017 for UFC Fight Night 119, which is set to go down inside Ginásio do Ibirapuera in São Paulo, Brazil. The Fox Sports 1 televised event will feature a middleweight scrap between Derek Brunson and Lyoto Machida. In the co-main event, Colby Covington will face local legend Demian Maia. What's hot? It's been 18 long months since the mixed martial arts MMA world saw Lyoto Machida in action after he was suspended for failing a drug test prior to his scheduled bout against Dan Henderson. Now that he's back, the Dragon is determined to get back on the winning track after dropping his previous two bouts to Luke Rockhold and Yoel Romero. Standing in his way is Derek Brunson, the hard-hitting 185-pounder who recently got back on the winning track after suffering a two-fight skid of his own against top combatants Anderson Silva and Robert Whittaker. It's an interesting fight to say the least, but it won't exactly have any major title implications for the time being, as the middleweight division is stacked with worthy contenders and has been pretty much on hold with Michael Bisping's injury and his on-again, off-again, and then on-again title fight against Georges St. Pierre. Colby Covington has been doing a lot of talking lately. Actually, he's been doing a lot of talking for quite some time now. His fight against Demian Maia, which will be the toughest of his career, will allow him the opportunity to back it up. Should he get an impressive win over the jiu-jitsu ace, Chaos can prove his worth and jam the 170-pound title scene a bit more. As for Maia, he wants to get another crack at the strap after a stinker against Tyron Woodley back at UFC 214. A win over Colby won't get him there just yet, but it will get him closer. Original card versus actual card. Originally, a light heavyweight showdown between Misha Cirkunov and Glover Teixeira was linked to this event, but was eventually moved to UFC on Fox 26 in December after Glover needed time to heal from an injury. Carlos Felipe was set to face off against Cristina Colombo, but after Carlos was notified of a potential United States anti-doping agency USADA violation, and was replaced by Marcel Gome. Injuries. Augusto Mendes was forced out of his bout against Boston Salmon. Yes, that's his name, with a leg injury. After Salmon was rebooked to face off against Raoni Barcelos, Salmon was forced out with an injury of his one and Raoni was taken off the card altogether. Luan Chagas pulled out of his welterweight bout against Nico Price due to a fractured foot, and was ultimately replaced by Vicente Luque. New blood Marcelo Gome will look to remain undefeated 50 when he steps into the cage for the first time against Christian Colombo on short notice. How the prelims look, there isn't a whole lot to get excited about. However, Nico Price will look to remain undefeated 1001, 201 UFC and continue his ascension up the welterweight ladder when he takes on Vicente Luque in the headlining preliminary bout. Another interesting out will see Antonio Carlos Jr. take on Jack Marshman as he attempts to collect his fourth straight win and continue to put his stamp on the middleweight division. Who needs a win badly? Machida, despite losing 2 in a row, is getting headlining duties. That said, he needs a win in the worst way, as losing 3 in a row could be detrimental to his combat career. His drop to middleweight has been less than stellar, going 33 after dominating the light heavyweight division during his best years in the octagon. And Brunson is far from a pushover and isn't an easy fight back after such a long layoff, so the Dragon dropping 3 straight is a very real possibility. Interest level 610. It's a pretty decent card, actually, as I'm eager to see what Machida has left, or if he's improved, following such a long layoff. Can he return to his once dominant ways? Is his time in MMA up? Can Brunson score a big win inside the octagon when it counts? The headlines are bountiful with this fight. The co-main event between Covington and Maia could have easily headlined this event, as Colby has done his part to promote his fight with his best Chael Sonnen impressions. Colby can prove he's more than talker if he can pick up a huge win against the former two-time title contender. The rest of the main card looks good, too, as it's always a good time when Jim Miller competes, and when he has a willing foe like Francisco Trinaldo who likes to bang, it could be fight of the night. Opening up the main card is a bantamweight bout between 2 heavy hitters, as John Lineker will look to get back into the win column after losing to TJ Dillashaw when he faces off against Marlon Vera, who has been on a roll as of late, winning 3 straight bouts in dominant fashion. A win over Lineker will give Chito the biggest of his career and catapult him up the rankings. We should be in for an interesting night of fights. Full UFC Fight Night 119 fight card. UFC Fight Night 119 main event 185 pounds. Lyoto Machida vs. Derek Brunson. UFC Fight Night 119 main card on FS1 10 p.m. ET 170 pounds. Colby Covington vs. Damian Maia 135 pounds. Rob Font vs. Pedro Munhoz 155 pounds. Jim Miller vs. Francisco Trinaldo 185 pounds. Jack Hermanson vs. Thiago Santos 135 pounds. John Lineker vs. Marlon Vera UFC Fight Night 119 prelims on FS2 8 p.m. ET 170 pounds. Nico Price vs. Vicente Luque 185 pounds. Antonio Carlos Jr. vs. Jack Marshman 155 pounds. Hakron Diaz vs. Jared Gordon 170 pounds. Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos vs. Max Griffin UFC Fight Night 119 prelims on Fight Pass 7 p.m. ET 125 pounds. Jared Brooks vs. Davison Figueiredo 265 pounds. Christian Colombo vs. Marcelo Gome. For more upcoming UFC events, click here.